Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Thursday. Hope it has gone well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you as always for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And we've got plenty to talk about today, haven't we? Wow, what a whirlwind day that ended up being yesterday in the world of Arsenal news. Because just after I published my video yesterday in the morning, pretty much that exact moment, David Ornstein reported the news that Arsenal had made a firm move for Christian Norgaard. There had been murmurings of it in the days building up to that. Had been word from Denmark in the morning yesterday as well that Arsenal were making a move. And then David confirmed that. And then it just happened very, very quickly from that point, from offer going in, talks happening, agreement reached with Norgaard, to basically agreement reached with Norgaard, with Brentford, and now he is due to undergo medical ahead of completing his move for Arsenal for around £10 million, just a little bit under potentially, but there is some room for that to go up with add-ons. And also that Thomas Partey, that now looks pretty much set in stone that he is going to be leaving the club. So loads to talk about today. I'm going to give my views on that. As I said, Norgaard now due a medical at Arsenal ahead of this move. So it looks pretty certain that it is going to go through. Obviously, until it's done, you can't say that absolutely 100% certainty, but the way things are moving, the speed of things have progressed, don't see any issues with the medical. So it looks like Christian Norgaard will be an Arsenal player. So I'm going to talk about that, give my views on it, look at what some of you guys have been having to say as well. There's also little bits and pieces we'll talk about. Rodrygo, Benjamin Sesko, who's followed Arsenal on Instagram. What a classic transfer window story that is. And yes, also I'm recording a little bit later on today the Arsenal press pass for Inside Arsenal members. Sammy Motbell is going to be joining myself and Sandine this week as Simon is on holiday. So we're going to have plenty to discuss in that show. I am going to put this one out to the wider YouTube community as well, because obviously you're very, very loyal to me, and this is going to be, quite a big show. I imagine Sammy's going to give us some really good stuff, so we'll talk about that. I know lots of you guys want to watch it as well. So this week's press pass will be available to everyone. But if you want to see that every single week, then obviously come and join Inside Arsenal. Become a member. You can do that down in the description below. Right. Let's talk about the sort of big move that has happened in the last 24 hours or so. Obviously, they tie in together with Norgaard and with Partey. I'm going to talk about Norgaard first. Now, I put a tweet out yesterday, sort of gave him my views on this. I'm not convinced about this transfer, I have to say. It's certainly not one that would have been at the top of my list in terms of the sort of profile that Arsenal have gone for. If Thomas Partey was going to go, then I was kind of moving more towards the side of a younger type midfield prospect coming in that could sort of learn on the job over the next couple of years. Good player, not an 18-year-old unknown, but maybe, the sort of Agume links from Sevilla, that sort of player, that sort of age, who's been playing in the top flight for a while at a top level and could come on and hopefully sort of come to Arsenal and really kick on in the minutes that he's given. I wouldn't have really, going down the sort of experience route wasn't really my cup of tea on it, but obviously it's Arsenal's cup of tea, and that's the important thing here, because they're the ones making the decisions, they're the one making the signings, and they've gone for Norgaard, who's 31 years old, be 32, I think, before the end of next season. I think March he'll turn 32. Look, he's a very good player. There's no doubt about that. He's proven that in the Premier League. Premier League experience, we know Mikel Arteta sort of values that over pretty much anything. He loves signing Premier League proven players, and Norgaard's done that. He's been excellent for Brentford, international as well. So he's not, he's not an unknown or anything like that. It's just my issue with it. And obviously he's coming in, he's Jorginho's replacement, because I've seen lots of people saying, oh, just because it's kind of tying in with Partey not agreeing terms, it's like, oh, he's Partey's replacement. That's not the case. We know Zubimendi is Thomas Partey's replacement. Norgaard's coming in to cover for the absence of Jorginho, who has gone. But I still think when I look at that, and maybe I value Jorginho ahead of others because that seems to be the view from a lot of people when stuff I put out. But I think Jorginho is a really fantastic player who didn't play enough last season. And I'm not sure I look at Norgaard as an upgrade on Jorginho. And that's my issue here, is then does the squad look stronger than last season? I don't know. I mean, I think Zubimendi is going to be an upgrade on Thomas Partey. I would certainly hope he's an upgrade on Thomas Partey. That's why we've spent the money on him. That's why, Arsenal was so keen to bring him. Ultimately, we're going to find that out with his performances over the next season. I can't sit here for certain and say he's going to be an upgrade, but you would hope he's going to be an upgrade. That's why he's been brought in for big, big money. He's ready to go. He's at his peak now at 26 years old. And so you'd hope that's going to prove to be an upgrade. That's the whole reason that they've signed him. But when you sort of say, right, okay, so it's Zubimendi and Norgaard in, Partey and Jorginho out, is that stronger than last season? I question whether that is the case. There's definitely big question marks there over that, and that's where my sort of concern comes in over it. I really hope I'm proved wrong, and that my worries are. I quickly realised that my concerns were wrong. When Arsenal signed Jorginho, I was very highly sceptical over that deal. When that was going through, I was like, really, Jorginho? And he proved me wrong. I thought he was, I've loved Jorginho at Arsenal. I think he's been a fantastic signing. And he proved me wrong. So I fully hope that Norgaard does it. Look, Norgaard's playing at the top of his game at the moment. He had a fabulous season last season for Brentford. So it's not like his career trajectory is going down. It's still going up despite the fact he's 31 now. And you would also look at it and think, he's probably not going to play that many minutes. Well, if all things work out, he's not going to have to play that many minutes this season. He is very much a squad player. But I still think you need to kind of raise the level of your squad. And I'm just, at the moment, when I look at the midfield, I'm not sure. You've got question marks over Zubimendi coming in because he's, new to the Premier League. We don't know if it's going to work. We hope it's going to work, but we don't know. And then you've got Norgaard coming in, who I'm just not convinced raises the level over Jorginho. So that's where my concerns are on it. But I absolutely hope I'm wrong. On Thomas Partey, I think Arsenal have made the right decision. I don't think you can justify giving Thomas Partey a contract, improved contract. I just don't think you can. I know he had a really good season last season, his best season for Arsenal. I think availability-wise, he surprised us all. But that, you have to look at it in the wider picture and say that feels like it's an outlier, because the rest of his time at Arsenal has been littered with injuries. So last season was good that he was available, but could you guarantee that will happen? Could you with any confidence predict that will happen for each of the next 2 seasons? You have to say no, because past history suggests that it won't. So I don't see how you can give him more money. He's 32 years old. The plan is that he's not going to play anywhere near as many minutes next season because you've just spent 60 million to sign his replacement in Zubimendi. His injury record is a massive concern. I don't see how you can give someone who's already one of your highest earners more money from that. I just don't. So I think they've made the right decision when it comes to Thomas Partey. I have no issue with that, but I'm not sure about. I'm not convinced about the Zubimendi, the Norgaard signing at this stage. I think ideally, the best thing that would have happened football-wise was that Partey would have accepted, and Partey's people would have accepted, okay, we're going to be a kind of bit part player next season. With 32, Arsenal have given me a lot. They've paid me a lot of money while I've been on the sidelines for most of my time at Arsenal, or for a lot of my time at Arsenal. We'll take a reduction in wages here for a couple of years, sign a one year extension on reduced wages. And that would have probably been the ideal situation football-wise for Arsenal. But it's clear that that's not the case. Talks haven't been able to come to an agreement. And so that's why we're in the situation that we are now. Right, I'm going to go through what some of you guys have been saying about this. Brian says, hi, Charles. I was very much like you, underwhelmed when we signed Jorginho, but I think he proves us all wrong. I can really get behind this deal for Norgaard as Jorginho's replacement. He's 31, experienced, will be able to get stuck in. He's a leader on and off the pitch. He's got better legs than Jorginho. It's sad to see Partey go, but apparently it's wages and length of contract. Let's not forget his injury record. I think it's a good, on the whole, I think it's a good deal. It saves us a lot of money, but bit like the Kepa deal, which will allow us to spend in other areas. James says, I love this Norgaard deal. That's the ruthlessness we've lacked for years. Partey isn't signing. Well, let's get on with it. That's the mentality we need, even in selling players. No dilly-dallying. You're not committing, sell. Mid-table teams do face such issues with their players. Norgaard still has 2 years left. Can you imagine that? Tom says, very happy with Norgaard. Prem proven, cheap, low risk. Hard to say if it's an upgrade on Jorginho at this stage, but I trust his signing more than the younger player, not known to the league situation we're in when we want to win now. All these easier deals done nice and early. Let's hope with the limited amount we've spent, there's plenty of budget left for 2 or 3 forwards. Welcome to the Arsenal, to the 3. I mean, these are good points, I have to say. When I talk about there how I'd have preferred a younger profile for the midfielder, I think that's a very good point there, that for this season, where what serves Arsenal better when it comes to bringing in the sort of the backup midfielder? Would it be a young guy learning on the job who's never played in the Premier League before, or would it be, a Premier League proven Brentford captain, international 31-year-old coming in and can just hit the ground running like that? It's probably the latter. So I think that's a very good point, and it's probably also why Arsenal have made the decision that they have when it comes to Norgaard. I also love the point of how ruthless this has been for Arsenal. We've all sat here and complained at times about how Arsenal sort of dilly-dally in the market. In terms of some of these deals for these kind of squad players, I think they've acted really, really well this summer. Norgaard, I think, is a prime example of that. As soon as it was clear that party talks weren't going to come to agreement, they're like, fine, okay, we're going to go and sign him. And they've got that done. It's exactly the same with Kepa. When the Garcia transfer just proved to be impossible, he wasn't going to come, he was going to go to Barcelona. It's like, fine, okay, we're going to go and buy Kepa. And they've gone out and done that. They've got deals done at relatively good prices as well. And also, which is an important point, you would think that is going to help them when it comes to really spending the big money this summer, the money that we're all looking at them to spend when it comes to improving their attack. This is going to help with that, because it's not like they've spent vast amounts on wages or transfer fees as well. Bobby says the Norgaard deal is a very pragmatic sign-in. I think he could be seen as a third choice DM because Arteta loves Havertz, so he'll be getting a load of minutes. If Zubimendi isn't available or needs rest, then we're just as likely to see Rice as DM with Havertz at left 8 as we are Norgaard DM and Rice left 8. He's a great option with plenty of experience. It's a good shout. Angus said, I've always liked Norgaard. He has played well against us many times. However, if we gain Norgaard and lose Partey, we're way weaker. The finances of this don't make sense either. Why outlay 10 million on a new signing while we're likely to lose Partey because we're reducting his wages? Let's keep Partey and use some of the 10 million proposed to buy Norgaard to maintain Partey on his existing terms, or even give him a small increase. Partey is a massive cog in the Arsenal machine, hugely press resistant and extremely creative passer through the lines. Partey is also completely integrated into the system Arteta wants to play. How long would Norgaard need to become acclimatized? Yeah, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the finances involved on it. I mean, Partey's on big money. He's on over 10 million a year wages wise. So, if you give him 2 years, that's 20 million basically on wages. And he would also get a big signing on fee. Although you don't have to pay a transfer fee when you agree these contracts, the player will get a big signing on fee, and the agent will get some of that as well. So, there will be a financial outlay for that and big wages. Norgaard, yes, it's about a 10 million deal. That's going to be staggered over the next 3 years, though, you would say. And at least half the price wages wise as what Thomas Partey's on. So I think the finances probably do make sense when you look at it. And I just don't think, as I said before, I don't think you can justify giving Partey a wage increase. I really don't. How can you give someone who's already a massive earner at your club more money at their age now when he's going to be playing far less minutes, or the plan is for them to play far less minutes? You've just spent 60 million on his replacement, and you're going to reward the guy with a wage increase to, huge money when he's not going to play as many minutes. I don't really think you can justify that. I don't. So I think Arsenal made the right decision when it comes to Thomas Partey. Jasper says, Christian Norgaard is the bargain of the summer. This is a sign-in which will not make everyone excited now, but in 1 or 2 years, we'll recognise how exceptional this deal was. Norgaard is not overall a better player than Partey or Jorginho, but surely off the ball he is better than both and a very good passer. Unlike Georgie or Partey, Norgaard is someone I feel is at his prime. Last season was his best season for Brentford. Now he is Arsenal's oldest player. Very good business. Another thing on Norgaard, which I suppose kind of goes against what I was saying, is as much as I like Jorginho, and I keep saying that I think Arteta underused him last season, when Arteta underuses a player, that tends to mean he doesn't really trust them anymore. And so whilst I still think Jorginho is a very good player and had plenty to offer, I think what we saw from Arteta, the fact he only started 9 Premier League games last season when he could have started a lot more, those numbers suggest to me that Arteta didn't really trust him in the midfield. So would we have seen much of him next season if it had stayed? Probably not. judging by what we saw last season. And I'd imagine, the fact that he's signing Norgaard means that he still trusts him to play. So he's probably going to play far more than Jorginho would as well. So thank you to everyone getting in touch on that. Obviously, we'll keep on touch. Yesterday, it all moved so quickly. And we'll see how the next 24 hours progresses on Christian Norgaard. Right, moving on. I mean, this is just a really classic. We had Gyökeres following the guard dog company that some Arsenal players use in London the day before yesterday. And now we've had a response from Sesko of following Arsenal on Instagram, which feels very deliberate to me. It feels very deliberate that how this has come out, and it's come out 24 hours or so after all the stories of Gyökeres and a guard dog company. These two make me laugh. How this transfer is playing out seems like something that happens on one side, the other guys have to respond in a way. And I just thought this was quite funny. I just thought it was a classic thing. Obviously it means nothing if a deal isn't done, but it's just like, that feels quite calculated to me, that this, because obviously they know, Team Sesko know that this is going to get picked up. The fact that Romano has put it out, Fabrizio has put it out as well, who has close ties to Team Sesko, obviously, as we saw with the contract renewal last season with RB Leipzig. It just, it's classic transfer window stuff. It really is. I mean, back in my day when I used to work at Football London, this would be absolute gold. You'd get about 5 pieces of the content out of this. But yeah, it just did make me laugh. Sesko follows Arsenal on social media. Make of that what you will. MJ says, with Partey potentially leaving this summer, could his departure open up space in the wage budget to meet Sesko's reported salary demands? Do you think there's real significance to Sesko following Arsenal on social media, or is it a case of another Madrid-like saga? As I said, I don't read too much into it. I think it's all a bit of game and cat and mouse when it comes to following people on social media and all that sort of stuff. In terms of Sesko's salary demands, I don't really know what they are. That's why, so it's hard to comment. And I've seen these stories. Honestly, I don't really believe the stuff that I've read about Sesko in a release clause and all that sort of stuff. These talks have been going on for such a long time between Arsenal and Sesko's camp. Same with Gyökeres, is that I just don't believe suddenly in the summer, just before this deal could potentially happen, they suddenly say, okay, we want a release clause and stuff like that. It just doesn't feel right to me, that. So, and it's certainly not it's anything I've had confirmed, and it's not been confirmed by, any sort of reporters who are really, really hot on it, who are very much really trust their information. So I'm taking all of that with a pinch of salt. But in terms of Partey wage bill being freed up, yes, that's absolutely going to help with Arsenal, and maybe not necessarily Sesko, but if they do have to push a boat out and try and sign a Rodrygo later on in the summer, the space they're going to have in the wage bill is absolutely going to help with that, as is the money that they've saved in the goalkeeping position, that sort of stuff as well. So you would think it's definitely a positive from what we've seen, but we'll wait and see what happens when it comes to improving the attack. I mean, Rodrygo, as I've just spoken about, he's over in the Club World Cup. Xabi Alonso has been speaking about him ahead of their next game over there, Real Madrid. Obviously, Rodrygo was an unused subbed in their last game, and that has drawn a lot of attention, given his situation, given all the rumours of a potential exit this summer. Alonso was asked about it in his press conference, and he said, Rodrygo looks good. He's enthusiastic. The other day, it was a technical decision not to play him, but he's still important. He's a special player. I think he'll play an important part at the Club World Cup. I'd certainly imagine him to play, get some minutes, especially I think Mbappe's not travelled to this game either. So if you're not getting any minutes now, 2 games in a row when Mbappe's not been in the team, I mean, that would surely be a big message to Rodrygo. And you'd think it would weaken Madrid's bargaining position as well if, there is a sort of actual consideration to him moving on later on in the summer as well. So I'd fully expect Rodrygo to start this game. But that's what Xabi Alonso has had to say about him. Just quickly on Ethan Nwaneri, he came on as a sub yesterday for England. Congratulations to the under-21s. They're in the finals of the Euro Under-21 Championship as they look to defend their title. They're going to play Germany this weekend. Good 2-1 win. Harvey Elliott with both goals yesterday. Nwaneri came on sort of about 10 minutes to go in that game. The Dutch had just equalised, but Harvey Elliott went and got a winner a couple of minutes after Ethan Nwaneri came off the bench. So good news for him, good news for England, obviously, and hopefully they can finish up and get that tournament wrapped up at the weekend against the Germans. And that's it from me, everyone. Thank you, as always, for watching. Like I said, the Arsenal Press Pass is going out a little bit later on, and for the YouTube watchers, you will get that one this week. I will put it out to the wider community so you can all have a look at it. And if you like what you see and like what you hear and you want to sign up and become an Inside Arsenal member and get the press pass every single week, as well as access to the Discord, everything like that, giveaways. Tomorrow, one lucky Inside Arsenal member is going to win an Arsenal shirt. I'll be doing that draw tomorrow. So yeah, if you want to get involved in all that sort of stuff, then come and become an Inside Arsenal member. The link is down below in the description. Just copy and paste that into your browser. Do it direct through Patreon. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.